I want to know, Christians are called believers. I've often wondered, why would anyone call themselves a believer? I mean, if you are on death row, or if you are being tried for a capital crime, and your attorney is going through the different jurors, and they come across someone and they ask you, do you know anything about this case? And you say, oh yes, I already have decided this guy is guilty, and that's it. Well, they can't use you. Why? Well, because you're prejudiced. You haven't even heard the facts yet, and you've already decided. So consequently, you are a believer. You believe that the person is guilty, which obviously shows you do not have an open mind, you are not very well read, and consequently cannot be trusted to make any kind of a decision. And consequently, today, in religion throughout the world, unfortunately, they are believers. Why? Because they don't know anything. They're believers. Once you understand what words mean, the very word church is a classic example. We have Christians talking about Christ, having no idea in the world what the word Christ means. How would you know an antichrist if you don't even know what the word Christ means? Christ comes from a Greek word Christos, which gives us Pillsbury Crisco. Crisco is a cooking oil. That's what Christos or Christ means, oil. Therefore, Jesus the Christ. I talked about the word church. Go to any good library and do a lot of reading in the Oxford Dictionary of the English language. Very important set of books. The word church, English word, goes back to a Scottish word, kirk. Kirk is church in Scottish, which is why you have a television show with Captain Kirk, the good ship Enterprise. That's what Kirk is, enterprise. Money, political power. The very word priest, well, let me finish with church, because there's more to it. Church goes back, as I said, to a Scottish word kirk, but kirk can be traced back to a Roman goddess named Circe. Circe in Rome can be traced back to a Greek goddess Circe. She was called Mother Circe. I'm not making this up. Mother Circe in the ancient Greek was known as an enchantress. She was able to hypnotize people, bring them into her house, turn them into pigs, and eat them, and live off of them. And this is what has happened today. Mother Circe, Mother Kirk, Mother Church has hypnotized nations and people that come into her house, turned them into animals to be used as cannon fodder for wars throughout the world, and live off of them. I had an FBI agent in 1989 called me from San Diego, and he said, Jordan, this is a social call, not a business. I'm calling you to tell you that the FBI has been watching you for many years. We're following everything you say and do. But I want you to know, as a social call, that your government at this time, and that was in '89, your government at this time does not consider you to be a threat. However, if people begin to, because they're hearing you, but if people begin to listen to you, and you begin to grow in popularity, the established order is going to have to take another look at you. And your government is not concerned too much about what you do, because you do not advocate ever taking up arms or in any way overthrowing government. And so we, even at the FBI, are interested in how you do and what you do. But he said to me, however, there will come a time that if you continue to expose the church, there will come a time when they will have had enough of you and they will deal with you. And his words to me were, the church in America, unfortunately in the rest of the world, is organized crime. At its highest levels, it is high politics, major money. And anytime you got major money and profound effect on masses of people, you've got to know you have organized crime. And then when you see the criminals, which you can watch on, they're not even criminals actually in America. We have dopes. And these dingbats who are on television, who are promoting their brand of Christianity, have no concept of the foundations of real Christianity. Unfortunately, they're making millions of dollars soaking the public because it's an entertainment affair. It has nothing to do with truth. As a matter of fact, if you go to the dictionary, an ordinary dictionary, look up the word priest. It comes from a Greek word meaning a head or the head of cattle, basic meaning the leader of the herd of cows. This is in a dictionary. So if you're a priest, you're leading cows, you're leading the herd. Again, I just believe that looking at words and terms and symbols is extraordinarily important, because for the first time you will discover how much you didn't know. And I'm sure that probably many of you have heard of the Celtic Druids. The Druid system in Europe has dominated most all of Europe. It even influenced the thinking in Eastern Europe, but it dominated Western Europe, and it dominates America. And one of the most important symbols in the Druid religion, and it wasn't just a religion, it was a governmental, theological, governmental system at work in Europe. And one of the most important symbols in Druidism was a magic wand, like Merlin the magician with his magic wand. Well, magic wands were always made out of the wood of a holly tree. It was always made out of Hollywood. And today, there's a lot of magic going on in Hollywood. The people who run Hollywood are many things. I know, I've lived there for some 40 years. I have been friends with many of the people in Hollywood. And I have noticed that they are many things, but stupid is not one of them. They're brilliant people who are on the cutting edge of intellectual acumen. And they're telling you a lot of things in movies. We watch things like Indiana Jones and Raiders of the Lost Ark. Profound stuff, I suggest, because Steven Spielberg is many things, but stupid isn't